Hello everyone, welcome back to the next installment of Waterloo Road Rewind, Series 2, Episode 6. So, last episode I talked about how, the whole Stacey Applegate storyline and what happened is, my least favourite plot, and that is still very true. I find the whole thing really cringy. I feel like it kind of character assassinates Tom a little bit. I know that Tom isn't really the Tom that we know yet, although I'd argue this half of the series we're starting to see it a bit more now. Yeah, so following on from last episode, Stacey brags to Janice that her and Tom, slept together, which definitely didn't happen. And then Janice, who sort of feels awkward about it, tells Miss Campbell. I always find Janice quite an interesting character because she has a really interesting moral compass. She knows when something's just flat out wrong, even when she causes issues or bullies people. She will step up, step forward, and say something. And in this case, she did about what happened to Stacey and to Tom. She saw Miss Campbell said about what happened, and it's a good character moment for her, I think, and it continues sort of what we saw last series and what we saw with Andrew confiscating her mobile, and yeah, it's a good continuation. I really, really dislike the Stacey Applegate plot. It makes me cringe. It's really unnecessary. I just don't like it, to be honest with you. Um, so Tom gets questioned about what happened. I get the procedure they'd have to follow if this happened in real life. Then yeah, Tom probably would be suspended pending an investigation and this, that, and the other. Jack was kind of right that it was just classroom gossip, but it just doesn't work. If it was some other male teacher who maybe only appeared this series, I think there's more weight. The fact it's Tom and we know Tom, it just doesn't connect. It doesn't fit. Like it's weird to think that now in series 2, but you think at peak Tom, series 5, 6, 7, you can't really picture this kind of storyline happening. Yeah, Tom is objectively an attractive man, so it makes sense for confused schoolgirls to be doughy eyed over him, but I don't know, it doesn't fit right with me. I don't particularly like it. I'm glad that it's basically sort of done now. I mean, there's still the aftermath of his relationship with Izzy and all of the toxic stuff with Lorna, but that's series 1 and 2 in a nutshell, really. So I can't really complain too much. Yeah, I get the angles that Kim and Andrew would have to come from, but the questioning felt, I don't know, unnecessary. I think Jack was right. It was gossip. I mean, there was the text messages, which in some way incriminates Tom. What I will say is, I really hated one scene in the episode. So it's after Kim and Andrew have spoken to Tom. Tom confronts Stacey and is like, "I didn't say this. You need to stay away. You're lying." Blah blah. I can't remember the specifics. But then Miss Campbell walks out as Stacey said, "I'll keep telling them until they believe me." And the setup of that is the implication that Tom is making her say it. But I don't like that trope. Not just in Waterloo Road, it's just in fiction in general. I really hate the trope of someone overhears something, but it's not. There's very few instances where I think it works and it benefits the plot. This is going to be a really weird tangent, but just roll with me on this. So the other night I watched Shrek, and the bit where Shrek goes to tell Fiona how he feels, and he overhears her say, "Who would love an ugly, disgusting beast," or whatever. The audience knows she's referring to herself, but Shrek thinks that she's referring to himself. But because the whole theme of the first Shrek movie is Shrek has such low self-esteem, he wants to be liked, but he's distant, and it's sort of it fits. It pushes the climax. He's annoyed, he goes and gets Farquaad, and then he finds out that she wasn't talking about him, and then he has the grand romantic gesture, and she becomes Fiona Ogre forever, and it fits. Given the theme of the movie and about how Shrek just wants to be accepted in a world that can't accept him, it fits to a T. But for a plot like this, it feels very contrived and very on the nose, and it really, really annoyed me. And yeah, I didn't think I'd be talking about Shrek on this podcast, but I mean, Shrek's great. I mean, who doesn't love Shrek? So, yeah, I had a good time, as you can tell, watching Shrek. Um, this episode, like I said, I don't like this plot. I don't like the Izzy, Tom, Lorna love triangle. Although I do think that we're very much heading towards the end of it now. It feels like we're at the main sort of catalyst now, or we're at the thing because like Tom didn't tell Izzy what happened, even though he should have done, and then Izzy is annoyed. Like she believes Tom through and through. She knows that it's just a schoolgirl crush and that the whole thing's stupid. Tom can't see it that way. Tom just thinks that the person he's relying on most in the world has turned her back on him. Like I do think that in this plot they do make Tom annoyingly dense. Like I get Tom is passionate about things, but I feel like he's just a bit stupid here, if I'm being honest with you. And yeah, it's like everything that's happened since Tom and Izzy have got together for those two plus Lorna has just been a big like shit show. And then you add in like Dante crashing the car, Chloe potentially going to prison, Mika being blackmailed, like the whole family suffered a lot. And just for this one last dumb thing that very easily could have been avoided, it's like it throws Izzy over the edge. The bit at the end where Izzy throws the table over and is like, "Get out, Tom." That's one of my favorite Izzy moments. Like it's so powerful. It's such a good scene. It's so well acted by everyone in the room because Tom is just there. Like Tom's on eggshells. Tom knows that he's fucked up, but he's trying to put it right. And then Izzy is she just has enough. She flips the table over, which has got like the glass and the plates and everything on it. She's like, "Get out, Tom." And yeah, that is powerful. That is such a good scene. And it's interesting that this is the halfway point for the series because now it's like, right, okay. Um, but yeah, I liked that bit. Um, I get her point of view. I really do. But equally, it's one of those where like I may have said it last episode or the episode before, or if I didn't say it, I thought it. I can't really remember. I think I said about how if Waterloo Road was just a film, it would end with Tom and Izzy walking off into the sunset. But because TV series have got extra minutes, they don't quite have that liberty, and they need to be somewhat self-contained. So it's creating drama for the couple, but I think it's like really unnecessary, especially as it ends with Izzy getting stabbed. So like her and Tom don't get the happily ever after. And now I get by very nature Waterloo Road generally doesn't have happily ever afters with some exceptions. Like I don't consider Rachel's exit happily ever after, but that's mostly because Adam is the most insufferable character on the show. Um Karen doesn't get happily ever after. Michael is upbeat, but I'm not sure I'd call it happy. Like I feel like Michael just feels like he's done as much as he can. Um Christine, it's a bit ambiguous, really, isn't it? Vaughn's also ambiguous. Kim gets the happy ending. Kim walks off with Andrew. They have their baby. She leaves Waterloo Road. Like she gets the happy ending. It's been a long time coming. Her and Andrew have been through a lot together. They get the happy ending. Um, Steve goes to prison, so no. I'm almost certain that Stella's not going to get a happy ending. I've got ideas of how I think that's going to end, but yeah, I don't think Stella's going to get a happy ending. Outside of the deputies, Grantley doesn't, Tom doesn't, Steph ambiguous. A lot of it's just ambiguous. I guess Ruby writes the novel. She goes off. She gets a happy ending. Um, Simon gets the new job. I mean, yeah, he leaves because his wife's cheating on him, so maybe not a happy ending. Jasmine just kind of fades. Chris doesn't really get a happy ending. Eddie sort of does. He goes to raise his son. Or daughter, I can't remember his baby. Can't remember the gender. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's not as many happy endings as I thought. Dante and Chloe are happy up until the reboot. Um, Connor and Imogen go off to Glasgow together. Uh, Josh ends up in debt, so maybe not. I guess Chalky. Daniel goes off and creates that app and gets his dream job, so Chalky gets a happy ending. Anyway, sorry for the tangent. The whole Tom Izzy Lorna thing just feels stupid. And then the next time Lorna thinks she's got Tom back and she tells Izzy to back off, but that'll be next episode's prerogative. It's just dumb and I don't like it. What else happened this episode? Oh, so the person who's assaulting the women has been brought to justice. Again, I thought they were going to drag it out a bit longer. I do think the arc sort of deserved more than 2 or 3 episodes. I think if they'd really pushed it some more, they could have done more of it. But again, it's the nature of Series 2 being cut so awkwardly, I think. Again, I think the series is just trying to be a bit more experimental with storytelling and arcs and stuff, so it's fine. It's that Kevin, Maxine's stepdad. I think Lewis was kind of the obvious choice. Like, it's not even a red herring. Like, Lewis clearly didn't. Like, even on the first watch through, I was sure it was Kevin. Like, I get that it fits the Maxine plot, but it feels quite convenient that they just sort of like introduce this man and everyone's like, oh, what's he doing here? What's his deal? And then you find out that like he's this person, and yeah. I mean, I did like that Maxine went to Steph. It kind of, again, it really solidifies their dynamic and their sort of like mother-daughter type situation that they have soon, because as we know, Maxine becomes Steph's ward, and all that stuff kind of happens. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it all. I wasn't really a big fan of this episode, to be honest with you. I don't like the depiction of Tom. I don't like the plot choice. Trying to think there's any take away from this episode. What Shrek? I guess Shrek's great. No, I'm glad that this is done. I know we've still got a few episodes of Stacey, and I do find it to be quite a cringy character. I think the comments had it right that it's just like she's a good actress. It's just kind of the plot and what they have her do. I don't know if it would have been more interesting if Stacey just stayed as a main and we saw her kind of develop and change over time, because she is quite obsessive. That's probably the clearest character trait. I don't know. So halfway through the series, yeah, I mean, I'm happy that we're almost done with all of the Tom, Izzy, Lorna stuff. That's a plus. Where I watched up to, so before Christmas, I watched all of Series 1 and most of Series 2. I think episode 8 was the last one I watched. So, it's going to become much more interesting for me from then onwards, because I've not watched Series 3 or 4 properly for probably about 4 or 5 years. So I don't remember all of it. 5 I've watched recently from my Max Tyler video. 6 I watched recently, as in like 2 years ago. 7 I watched the first 2 arcs a few years ago. The last arc of 7 I have watched a lot over the years, because it is my favourite. Well, maybe my tied favourite with the first part of 5 as my favourite arc. So that's quite fresh in my head. I haven't really watched Series 8 since broadcast because I didn't particularly like it. I've seen Series 9 recently, but I really, really rate Series 9, so I would watch Series 9 again quite happily. Series 10, I don't like at all, really. And all of the modern series I've only seen once. So this is the thing about the modern series I'm still convinced that we're closer to the end with it. I've got some reasonings. I guess I'll sort of go into them now. So I feel like the show is in quite a good place. But I also know that, like, I think they're worried that if they drag it out for too long, it'll start to lose its reputation like the original show did. Like, not to shit on the original show, but I know that pretty much from when Rachel left Series 5, a lot of people think it went downhill from there. A lot of people weren't a fan of the Karen Fisher run, which I'm not. the Michael Byrne stuff was good, but then Scotland kind of killed it, I think. Um, so part of me thinks they're probably worried, but equally, for a while, Waterloo Road was getting renewed on the regular, so it would get renewed for maybe two series, and it's not been renewed for quite a while. And I think they filmed Series 18, which is coming out, I would guess September, October, and then they were filming Series 19 back to back, from what I've gathered. So that'll be January, February. Um, but we've had no sort of announcement of renewal. They've moved building, which makes me think maybe there's slightly more longevity, or potentially the set's cheaper. So maybe they don't have the budget. The other thing which is making me think maybe Waterloo Road's time might be coming to an end is that the BBC can't afford to do programming anymore. So as you know, Doctor Who has recently been put out to, is it to ten? What's it? To tender? Yeah, to tender. For people who are interested. Casualty was also in tender, and a lot of pretty much all the BBC programming is planned to go out to tender because the BBC just don't have the production money to do it. So I think Waterloo Road will go out to tender. But I think it becomes one of those. I think they could just naturally end the show with Series 19, and Series 19 may act as a finale, and they might put it out to tender. But if Waterloo Road goes out to tender, I would be amazed if it did not get picked up. After Doctor Who, I'd argue it's the BBC sort of flagship show. So I think that if Waterloo Road ends up in tender, it will get picked up. But equally, the writers and everything will have hit 70 episodes by the time that Series 19 finishes airing, assuming 18 and 19 are 8 episodes, which, I mean, given the past few series is a very, very fair guess. Which is as long as the Scotland series, coincidentally. So they might be thinking, right, this will be it. So I could see Series 18 and 19 kind of winding the show down, and it ending with Stella rather than getting a new head teacher in. But we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the show. I would rather it end on a high than just continue churning out crap, basically. So we'll have to wait and see. Sorry, back to my point. I was going to rewatch the reboot, and I planned to, but I kind of wanted to wait until all of it was done, until whenever it ended, so that I could just watch it all in one big binge across a few weeks, and then I could just see, like, as a story, how well it's kind of works. Because to me, the reboot feels a lot more like a serialized, self-contained series than the original ever did. Yes, there's still sort of arcs, or there's eras, like you got the Kim era, the Steve era, the Stella era. But because so many of the mains are still in the show, like the majority from Series 11 is still there. Like Neil, Coral, Joe, Val, Wendy, Dante, they're all still there. To me, it feels much more like a self-contained thing than the original show ever did. Like, if Waterloo Road ended at Series 5 or even Series 7, then I would make the argument of, okay, that also feels quite self-contained in the same way the reboot does. But because of Scotland, it feels that much more disjointed. But even then, you can make the argument from Series 6, it feels much more disjointed than Series 5 downwards, because you lose Steph at that point as well. The sort of legacy characters from the beginning are just Tom and Grantley from then onwards, so you kind of lose a lot of it anyway. But yeah, anyway, sorry for my rambling. Yeah, I thought this one was alright. Not the best, but is what it is. Okay, this has been Waterloo Road Rewind. You've had Ollie, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.